How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another video. It's been a while since I've been in front of the old camera. Had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. First things first, thoughts on Linkin Park reforming with a new album and a new lead singer. So if you haven't been aware, if you've been living under a tree, under a rock, Linkin Park is back. Now, Linkin Park, to give you some context, my thoughts on Linkin Park. I saw Linkin Park back in the day. This was right around 2001 when they were just becoming big. And I went to an outdoor concert. It was kind of like, how should I say it? Not Woodstock, but it was kind of like an all-day event. And it was called the Summer Sanitarium Tour. So it was Metallica was the headlining act. And then after Metallica was Limp Bizkit, and then Linkin Park, and then Mudvayne, and there might have been another band as well. So Linkin Park wasn't like top of the bill, and they were opening up for Limp Bizkit, because at the time, Limp Bizkit, let's be honest here, folks, Limp Bizkit was huge back then in 2001. I would even say Limp Bizkit was more popular than Metallica. Definitely more popular than Linkin Park, but Linkin Park was like right there. So I was never really a huge fan of Linkin Park. I don't know if it was just Chester kind of bugged me a bit. I don't know why, but I just wasn't really a huge fan. And then, as the years went on, that era of music, new metal, it kind of got stale. It did. And it's to the point now where, like, I can't believe Limp Bizkit's still touring, but you listen to, because I had all the Limp Bizkit albums, and in period, those albums were really good, especially Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. You go back now, oof, that's rough. That's rough. I'm not saying those guys aren't talented, but the music doesn't hold up. So here we have Linkin Park, and they've got a new lead singer, Emily Armstrong. And man, oh man, does she ever breathe new life into this band. But I'll definitely pick up that album. That new song of theirs is the best Linkin Park song I have ever heard. And that's just my opinion. But I think they did a great job selecting Emily as the new lead singer. And she's no scrub with her own band. What was it? Dead Sarah? They opened up for Slash at one point. She toured with The Offspring. She's toured with a couple of big name musicians and acts. She was featured on Courtney Love's whole album there in 2010, Nobody's Daughter, which I own, and I didn't even know that this woman was even on the album as a guest vocalist. So I didn't even know that. So interesting stuff out of the Linkin Park community. That is interesting stuff. So the next thing I want to talk about before we get into my main topic, let me take a sip of my house wine here. Master System Marceau, and PK in the vagina. PK in the universe. Those two, oh my god. For those of you who are new to the channel, I used to have a weekly live stream podcast with Master System Marceau. And things were going good until at one point I turned around one day and he just stabbed me in the back with a hunter's knife. He stabbed me 1,000 times. And him and PK ran off into the sunset. It is what it is. Well, again, folks, we were talking about when will the honeymoon phase be over? It looks like it might be over now because PK, he's a huge fan of this game developer named Jarrell. And Jarrell publishes games for the Nintendo Switch. Can't remember the name of his company. I don't know if it's Sunshine Studios, something like that. I'm not quite sure. He does the Silver Falls games. Well, Jarrell posted a video on his YouTube channel, and it's been gaining traction in the gaming community. And I thought he brought up some really good points. What he was saying was, look, we're not against gender equality in the workplace. Nobody said we didn't want that. We just want an even playing field. And what has happened in society, not always, but there has been instances where it's just gone from like one extreme to the other. It's gone from, there's too much of a male dominance in the workforce. There's too many male executives in the boardroom. We need to, promote some females and have some equality, which I understand. I get that. But what he was talking about was just how the pendulum swings they go from one extreme to the other. They go from way too many men that are up in the boardroom, not enough females, blah, 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 blah. And now it's just gotten to the point where it's like there's an ulterior motive where companies are promoting females into these top ranked positions. And it's not necessarily because of their ability to do the job. They're doing it because there's a hidden agenda. And I'm not saying that's always the case. I'm saying there's been instances of that. And that's what Jarrell was getting at in his video. And he's not wrong. We don't have a problem with females being promoted into these positions. It's great. That's what we want to see. But we want to make sure that it's done fairly and not being done just because of the fact that there's not enough females in such roles. So he brought up some good points about it. I didn't find his video offensive. Well, Master Sissy Marceau, the feminist that he is, he went off the deep end and he's taken offense to Jarrell's video. And again, Jarrell is like PK's ride or die. So now we're in this situation here where we're wondering if a cat fight is going to ensue. It's really interesting right now what's happening with Marceau and PK. We don't know if these guys are going to go at it. We don't know if they're still on speaking terms. I have no idea. I don't have any problems with Marceau. But I told him it's not if, it's when PK does this to him. He did it to me, now he's doing it to Marceau. So yeah, interesting stuff. I guess we'll have to see how that turns out. So the last thing I want to talk about here right at the 8-minute mark, I want to talk about Marble Madness for the Sega Genesis. I've always wanted to play this game. I knew it was available on the NES. Never played it in the arcade. Back in the day, the game was a smash hit in the arcades, as they would say, and it was very unique because you would use a trackball to move your ball on screen. The game was developed by Mark Cerny, the guy who's now a head honcho at Sony. So Marble Madness, I finally played it the other night on the Sega Genesis, and at first I was playing it with my 3-button Genesis controller. I was having a lot of fun. I was having a lot of fun. I got addicted to Marble Madness. Couldn't beat it, but I was having a lot of fun with it. And I said, you know what? Let me try playing it with my my Genesis arcade stick. And let me tell you, oh my God, the game is so much more playable. I don't want to say easier, but the control is so much better using this joystick. And I just sit there like this. And use A to speed up your ball in the game. For those of you who haven't played Marble Madness, take a look at it here. So, yeah, using this arcade stick, it made it so much more playable, and I was having so much fun with this game. It got to the point where I went on to YouTube and I watched a rash of videos talking about Marble Madness. And I even rewatched a video from Patman QC, who's currently battling some illnesses in the hospital. So hopefully he gets better. Our thoughts and prayers are with Patman. So anyways, playing this game, and then I discover, unbeknownst to me, and I don't even think Patman mentioned this in his video. So, the version of Marble Madness that you're watching here was released for the Sega Genesis, and it was also released for the Sega Mega Drive in the PAL region. However, Marble Madness was also released. It was developed by EA in the North American and PAL region. But over in Japan, for the Mega Drive, Marble Madness, for whatever reason, I don't know why, it was developed and released by Tengen for the Sega Genesis. And then the more you watch videos and read about it online, the more you begin to understand that the Tengen version is the better version. The Tengen version is more arcade accurate, the graphics are better, and the audio makes proper use of the Sega Genesis Mega Drive audio chip. Now here's where things get weird. So there's differences you can see here. Here's the 10 Gen version. And you can see the ball is blue, whereas on the Sega Genesis version and the Mega Drive PAL region version by Electronic Arts, the ball is red for some reason. Here's where it gets weird. I played the 10 Gen version, as you can see here. And call me crazy, I prefer the Electronic Arts version. It's easier. I find the 10 Gen version is, maybe it is more arcade accurate, but I find it's way too difficult. And I actually kind of like how the ball is red in the Genesis and the Mega Drive PAL region version. Not to mention this game is a lot cheaper. The Electronic Arts version is a lot cheaper. You can probably pick it up for $20, $30. Whereas the 10 Gen version right now is going for upwards of $300 to $400 on eBay. Can you believe that? So yeah, it's interesting that there's two versions. I never knew that. I bet you a lot of you guys didn't know that either. It's interesting how different they are, but yet how similar they are at the same time. It is also interesting that most people in the community would consider the 10 Gen version to be the better version. But I actually have to say I prefer the Sega Genesis version. I do. So, yeah, I really wanted to get that out there. I know this probably doesn't really interest a lot of you, but I did not know there were two versions of Marble Madness for the Sega Genesis. It kind of blew my mind, to be honest with you. I don't think a lot of people know about that. So, yeah, there you have it. I almost beat Marble Madness running this through for you guys to capture this gameplay footage. I almost beat it. I got to the last stage. But yeah, I love this game. And you can see all the influences since this game came out way back in 1984. Definitely Super Monkey Ball, you know, takes a huge inspiration from this game, as well as several other games that have been released throughout the years. I picked up a game for the Nintendo Wii called Vertigo, which I played recently, and I want to post a video on that as well, and that's similar as well, where you're moving a marble around. And I also have the, how do you pronounce it? Cornucopia? Marble game for the Wii, and again, it's very similar to Marble Madness as well. And it's funny, Modern Vintage Gamer posted a video on his channel this week talking about retro isometric video games. And I don't normally watch MVG, but I wanted to see which games he was going to mention. And sure enough, he talked about Marble Madness, and I had already started playing the game before he started talking about it. So it's just wild stuff. So I would love to be able to beat this game and capture it on video and submit it as a speed run on speedrun.com. But we'll see. I'm getting better at it as the days go on. But that's it for this video. Just wanted to talk about Marble Madness. Wanted to touch base with you guys, tell you about the drama involving Master System Marcy and PK in the vagina. And I also wanted to talk about Linkin Park because Wes from Gaming Off the Grid can't stand the reformed Linkin Park, and he can't stand the reformed Alice in Chains either. I'm telling you, buddy, you're missing out. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Cut it off here, just about at the 14.5 minute mark. Thanks so much for watching, guys.